So I think that has a lot because I like to geek out a lot when it comes to neurochemistry. What different chemicals do, the hormones and all that. Why we are all so addicted to the dopamine hit and like serotonin. The what is that? The that's the community drug,
Feel good. Yeah, yeah.
and all oxytocin and all that kind of stuff. And how do those hormones, those neurochemicals, how does that affect neuroplasticity? What do those how do those relate?
Yeah. So I'll say this, I think just going back to what you were saying, you were able to shift your physical like state, I think, with using like overcoming that negativity bias in a sense. Like how can I figure this out? And I think that's hard for some people because for some reason, and I've watched this in my kids, I think there's this inherent thought process that whatever you start to do, you should be good at. And that's just not true. For some reason, like I've watched my kids play a sport, pick up an instrument or something, and they just think that they should know how to do it. And it's just not the way your brain works. And for anyone out there, it was a good lesson for me to watch that happen because in order to be able to come out of that negativity bias of the brain, in order to create efficiency in pathways that are releasing neurotransmitters that help build positive neuroplasticity like dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, oxytocin, you have to be totally cool with sucking and failing multiple times. And when you're okay with that, when you're comfortable enough to be bad at something, you will get good no matter what you do as long as you stick with it. And when you do that, you're building so much resilience in your brain, in your body. And you should know like there is so many lessons, not for you mentally, but for your body, right? Because eventually the body will learn better than the brain. There are so many lessons in failing at things and trying over and over and over and figuring out like, hey, I need to get here and I tried this didn't work. How can I recollect my thoughts and then do it this way? There's so much that happens in your brain and in your body when you do that that you'll just completely change your brain and it can really help shift your mindset. And the reason for that is when you do those things over and over and over again, there almost becomes this like low level of like background noise of release of these neurotransmitters when you even think about doing something. That's why stuff like visualization can work so well because even though you're physically not moving your body or physically not doing the behavior that you're visualizing, your brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between what's real and what's not real. But when you put the mind into those scenarios, and I'm not saying this to come off and say, like, just think positive and everything's going to be okay. No, everything's not going to be okay. It's hard. Life is hard. Doing new things is hard. Changing your old habits is so hard. But just going back to the visualization stuff, your mind doesn't necessarily know the difference between what's real and what's fake. So when you start to put your mind into those scenarios, those difficult scenarios, those scenarios where you will fail and how you'll get past those, your body will learn how to do it, and it'll learn it because you're firing those pathways, you're releasing those neurotransmitters, and now anytime you think about it, you're at a different level in your nervous system and you're better and better and better and better and better. So yeah, the neurotransmitter stuff is really interesting. And that's why the like the concept of attention and focus to build neuroplasticity is so important because when you're doing something, you're building neuroplasticity. But when you're extremely focused on it, you're hitting those acetylcholine centers. And acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter that really helps commit things to memory. So you're focused, you're concentrated, you put away everything for 10, 20 minutes, you're working hard on something, and then bam, that creates plasticity in your brain and in your nervous system because acetylcholine's almost like going along and sprinkling some miracle grow along those neurons that are firing while you're doing it. So, yeah.